improving energy efficiency as well as trying to incorporate solar technology as part of our mosque buildings. However, of course, this effort doesn't come without challenges. You can see here, within planning parameters and even the environmental conditions in Singapore, we are fraught with certain conditions that are constricting in a way, but as you can see here, the GPR and the gross plot ratio of our buildings are really only on this, perhaps only 2,500 square meters to 3,000 at max. And on top of that, we have to comply to a 50% quantum base because our mosques are not just base spaces. They are also community institutions where we have villages, classes, we have community functions. So the government has also set aside that since you are a mosque, you must ensure that you have a 50% quantum of prayer area compared to the other ancillary areas. And our buildings cannot be really tall. It can only be between 4 to 5 stories high. And in terms of environmental conditions, we are very hot and humid climate. We have high cooling load and very limited roof space for us to try to really incorporate solar technology. And of course, because we are fully funded by the community, we are constrained by the funding availability that we have through the MDMF. Nevertheless, in 2009, we did achieve the first Green Mark certified mosque, which is Masjid Al Mawadah. So this is a view of what the mosque looks like. It was really a pioneering achievement for us because this really demonstrated the feasibility of sustainable religious architecture within the community budget constraints that we have. So you can see here for this mosque, the prayer capacity goes only up to about 4,000 for our new mosques. Maximum maybe 4,005. So for Al Mawadah, what do? We actually looked at incorporating energy saving features. You can see solar tubes, we use DVF type of lift and even motion sensors in washrooms. At the point in time, this was actually quite a change for us. And we tried to really pioneer environmentally friendly materials, using 100% recycled carpet underlays, partially recycled carpet tiles. We use green label waterproofing systems as well as low VOC internal painting. And beyond that, really this innovative approach is trying to balance religious needs of the community with a larger environmental responsibility to the nation and the planet. Beyond just the systems that you see, we also try to bring in the green back into the mosque, into the building. So there's over 30 species of ornamental plants and more than 30 species of edible plants within the garden in Masjid Al Mawadah. So Masjid Al Mawadah is a great example of a new mosque that we try to package all these new systems in. What about the older mosques, which are heritage mosques, which we need to conserve, that we can't do too much to it? How do we navigate through the vision of sustainability for this mosque? So this is really exemplified through one of our mosques, which is Masjid Sultan. It is a very iconic mosque in Singapore, with designated as a national monument. But what this mosque did was that despite its protected status and architectural significance, it really embraced this green, sustainable initiative by installing solar panels on the annex roof here. So the mosque is actually made up of one large mosque building. Together they had an annex building here. So they took advantage of the annex building not being part of the gazetted national monument to actually install solar panels on the mosque, on the roof of the mosque, to reduce carbon footprint and also to save energy costs. But moving forward, after Masjid Al Mawadah, we also have similar Masjid Al Isra and Masjid Al Ansar, who also highlighted the use of sustainable materials. So just a quick info for Masjid Al Isra was conceived as an open mosque. You can see here how the interesting form of the facade actually incorporated this use of EISS, which I will share a bit more later. So this mosque really tries to go beyond the formal manifestation of visual curiosity, accessibility, and climate openness to embrace the different needs of the Muslim community. You can see here through the photos that it really comes alive at night. It really looks like a really porous building. It's not a huge monumental structure, but it blends into the surrounding, and even through the main prayer hall, you can actually see through to the surrounding residential area. And so with the use of EIFS, they actually have sustainable energy savings and reduce environmental impact. So this is really a key example of how we piloted sustainable facade materials for mosques. Similarly, for Masjid Al-Ansar, which is built around the same time, the difference is that Masjid Al-Isra is a new mosque, it's a new building, but Masjid Al-Ansar is actually an existing building where what we did was that we kept the minaret here. It's actually the original minaret, and then we reconstructed the mosque around it. And on top of that reconstruction, we actually tried to use EIFS not just as a sustainable material, but as an expression of the traditional batik motif or representation, which is a representation of the Malay culture, where of the Highland area where this mosque is located. So you can see here the expression of using EIFS, we still managed to keep some sort of heritage to the Highland area of it. So moving forward, we are trying to chart the future for super low energy mosques in Singapore through this existing mosque called Masjid Al-Kaf Kampung Melayu. So just some background of Masjid Al-Kaf Kampung Melayu. It is an existing mosque built in 1994, and we just commenced reconstruction or rather upgrading works on it earlier this year. It's basically on space optimization, focus on rejuvenation of the building facade, and on top of that, we are actually retrofitting this mosque with new environmental features. So this is really a model of how you try to use existing mosque buildings, or any building for that matter, to try to make it more sustainable or to achieve a greater vision of sustainability. So it's really a super low energy target, but with a net zero vision. What we did is that we actually partnered with the Building and Construction Authority of Singapore in their Green Building Innovation Cluster demonstration. So this is the first mosque to qualify for this BCA GBIC demo, and it really supports the development and deployment of untested innovation solutions. So what it does is that it provides funding and test bedding opportunities in actual building projects.
And meet with each other, and after that we will start another session about 11 o'clock, and we will meet at the hall of 1 or 9. Okay.